Welcome to the Cat Herders meeting 43. I'm sharing the agenda in chat here. So the first item on agenda is Zinkin testnet launch. The testnet was launched yesterday at 8 a.m. EST time, and that was considered to be a close to smooth launch. As expected, it did not show any issues that were shown in its Padina testnet last time. Validators were able to propose and epochs were getting finalized. The clients worked fine. It is expected that there could be at least one more testnet or the dress rehearsal before the mainnet launch of ETH2 phase 0.
Woohoo.
The next item is EIP 1559 fee market change. So we had this meeting last week, I guess, yeah, on Thursday. Let me just pull up. So according to the client's update provided in the meeting, Hyperledger Besu would stand up a pure testnet with some changes, like they have accepted the wrapped transaction PR submitted by Mika. For Get, Vulcanized team is trying to debug a consensus issue that they were having on the ephemeral testnet, POA testnet. For Nethermind, EIP 1559 is syncing, and the syncing with the test network, and they will continue to work with Besu, Get, and Nethermind team together to adding another mind validator soon. There were some reports shared by Barnaby on research side, and the Cat Herders, they also did the community outreach report. They published it last week with Tim Baiko, William Schwab, Alita Moore, Edson, and I reached out to different projects in the ecosystem where projects and dApp developers were excited to see this proposal, the proposal EIP 1559, to be deployed on the mainnet as early as possible. The miners community expressed their dissatisfaction, and the main benefit that was highlighted by the projects was the predictability of gas prices that is provided by this proposal. The fear with this proposal of being contentious was also highlighted due to the proposed concept of base fee burning and miner step distribution that is going to change the current dynamics of a fee distribution for the miners.
Do we want to continue the outreach project even now that the article's written? Like, there were even sort of like entire categories of stakeholders who were not reached. So in the interest of just having the information, even if it doesn't necessarily lead to a blog post, are we interested in sort of continuing the comms effort, or is this going to be the end of it?
No, I assume that there is going to be a wave 2 of the outreach efforts. This time we are trying to target more on wallets and exchanges because there were low participation last time. And we would also try to reach out to the service providers because they would be the projects where the changes are expected. They are providers, they need to do some changes on their end. So my assumption would be like we would be doing a wave 2 of that. However, if people are interested.
What do you mean by a service provider?
Node providers. Many of the projects are not running their own node.
You mean like Geth, for instance?
Maybe Alchemy.
Oh, okay. No, okay, I get what you mean then.
Yeah.
Practically speaking, does that mean I should be reaching out to groups though? Like, I mean, I have access to the spreadsheet. I could be continuing to try and get data and arrange meetings. Should I continue doing that?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, good enough.
There is another mainnet readiness checklist that was shared for EIP 1559 proposal. That is available in the Ethereum PM GitHub. And yeah, and from ours, like from Cat Herder's side, we have to continue the wave 2 for reaching out projects and service providers. The next item is EIP-IP meeting update. In the last EIP-IP meeting, we discussed about the network upgrade process flow. I shared some concern with EIP statuses not getting changed even at the time of it being deployed on the mainnet. And the general sentiment was it will be good to have it updated. For that, the agreement was to have a Twitter handle from which the change of the EIP statuses can be shared with the community. Thanks to Light Client, he secured a handle at EIP info, and I have shared the credentials with James because he mentioned that he would be interested to tweet about that and handle it. But if any cat herder also wants to get involved, feel free to get in touch with James. The new agenda for the EIP-IP meeting is up, and feel free to add a more discussion point. I don't see Edson here. I think there was something that cat herders were involved to, and I think he was leading for that about the onboarding of EIP editors. It will be helpful to set expectations for editors and get more people involved so that we can iron out the process of the new process of EIP standardization and like look into more proposals and get it passed through, because now we have only one active editor that is looking into it, and one of the agenda item for next meeting is from his side only. Any comment, questions on this part?
Sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea, but I guess we need some details. It's hard to comment on, just like just as an idea.
Right. I mean, like I see that cat herders are getting engaged more in the EIP-IP meeting, like more into the process part. So if anybody would have any suggestion on in the improvement part or something that could help improve the current process, would be highly encouraged. And that's why like we have started creating agenda way in advance so that people can go and add their comments, like what they would like to discuss it over there.
Increasing EIP editing seems like a great idea. I mean, the more I become aware of sort of the queue of EIPs, the more I become aware that there's a lot that seem to have just been sitting since like 2018. And there's not necessarily a reason why they haven't moved forward. So just having people who can sort of like, shake the tree a bit and like, maybe get things moving or get the sort of small editing changes that sometimes things need, help out people who aren't necessarily English as a native language, et cetera, would probably make the process significantly more efficient, or even just calling attention to EIPs that need attention given to them. So, I mean, hearing that as an initiative makes a lot of sense. I can't say that I'm really up for spearheading it right now. And it sounds like Edson, from what you mentioned, may be taking initiative on a project like that. It would be very interesting to see where it goes. I mean, to some degree, it could be that the process is fine, just that it hasn't scaled very well with the manpower that it has right now. And it'd be interesting to see if perhaps giving the, scaling the amount of people working on it might be enough just to make it a much more efficient process.
Right, and with the new bot, we have in process of getting PR closed if it is stagnant for a while, and I myself have seen some of the proposals getting closed because they weren't able to got proper attention from the editors. So it would be better to close a proposal after making a decision on certain proposal, not just because it's not getting editors' attention. So yeah, that's another goal of having this initiative. Moving on, the next item is a breakout room update. So we have this breakout room meeting 4 last Monday, previous week. It seems it was for the rich transaction type that would be considered for, EIP 1559. It seems like the biggest desire to go with that was to avoid mempool complexity of introducing batch transaction that was proposed by Litecoin, and there wasn't any consensus on the transaction type that could be introduced in Berlin. So until the next upgrade or until there is any agreement on the best mechanism, Light Client would be working into looking the batch transaction complexity and understanding the complexity of mempool. There is no set date for the next meeting. It would be scheduled based on request received in the breakout room channel in R&D Discord server. The next item is PEEP and EEP. So we shared the last recording with Kelly Olson for EIP 2565 repricing of EIP 198, the mod EXP precompile. It was good to know about a proposal which is already being considered for Berlin upgrade. The next meeting is scheduled for EIP 2718 type transaction envelope with MICA, and that is scheduled in early November. So with the help of this series, we are trying to socialize the Ethereum proposal. And at present, I'm not aware of any other forum where such discussion happens. So it's an opportunity for community to learn about the core proposals, and for the developer community to also share their questions if they have anything on the ERC or any or the standard track proposal. It would be interesting to hear thoughts and suggestion on EIPs to be considered for this series.
I had EIP I ran into like yesterday actually, so I just reached out to the author to see if he'd respond. I'd have to get the number again. It might be 2380. No, it wasn't that far. 1837 maybe. Refungible tokens, sort of like an idea for splitting NFTs into ERC20s. Wait a second, where are we? 1634. Sorry. So I reached out to him. I'll see if he responds.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to attend that next Peep and Eep meeting next November 8th, 3rd, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, thanks to you, William and Alita, for supporting this series, and good to hear that Brent would also like to join that. For people who are listening this meeting on YouTube, if you have any suggestion for what EIP should we contact or how to reach to the authors, please leave a comment in the comment section below, or you can always join our ECH Discord, mention that proposal, and we will be really happy to include that in next episode. The next is the emergency communication group. So we have William. William, if you may have any update on that, or.
So the truth is, I really need Hudson here for that. The one thing that I could say is that there have been 2 documents that we've written internally so far about protocols. We got them to a point where we're happy trying to start to share them a bit and get feedback from the community. Hudson took point on that, and I don't know where it's holding right now, so I'd sort of need him to figure out where that next step is. But that is the phase that we're in right now. He wanted to sort of cycle them a bit, like pick and choose, not just opening them up to everybody, but sort of spot talking to the people in the ecosystem that he thought would have the most valuable feedback about it before we try and do something bigger with it. And that's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to apologize from his side. Like he mentioned that he ran into some personal errand and would be unavailable for next few days, or at least he would be able to handle that. So maybe by next meeting, we should expect him to provide further update on that.
I'll try and be in touch with him over the next 2 weeks also. Just that way we have a bit of redundancy in case one of us messes up, the other one should know what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
The next item is cat herders funding, Moloch Tau and ESP. I do not have updates on Moloch Tau part because again, we have to check with him on, with Hudson on that. But I heard from some of the ESP people and they are happy with the work that we are doing as cat herders, that we are taking care of supporting the network upgrade process, and the newsletter that we publish, the cat herders update that we published are really appreciated. So I mean, I have added it as a specific agenda topic for today's meeting. That is the next one, Ethereum cat herders update in email newsletter version. Do we have any thought on that?
The goal is just to, I mean, is there like the goal is just engagement, trying to increase engagement?
Yes, I mean, generally, even if people do not read it immediately when it is published, if that is there in the inbox, they get the notification of that. Sometimes later they pull it out and start reading it. And because our cat herders update are mostly covering the minute related information, what is going on in Ethereum 1 chain and Ethereum 2 chain, and you know, proposals around that. So it's helpful for people for keeping track of a network upgrade.
Do we know what the metrics are? Like how many people are reading, or like, I mean, what the level of engagement with it as is?
Yeah, I think I should have. Let me just pull out that. I mean, it's a good I can, give me a minute. I'll just take it out for.
Sure. While you're doing that, maybe I'll just say, like, it seems to me that this is sort of a question of migration, as in right now everything's published on Medium. This would mean, I take it, sort of migrating from using Medium as the platform to something like Substack.
Not really. I don't know. Maybe I came across, maybe this is a new feature of Medium, or what, I may have to explore more on that. But I think Medium also provide this facility of, you know, whatever you are publishing here, get it sent through newsletter or something. I may have to look into that, or if not, then maybe
Researching options might be the first step there then, just seeing what that would mean. I mean, Substack in the crypto space is doing pretty well. Like, a lot of things are on Substack. Bankless is on Substack, the Define is on Substack. So it definitely seems to have leveraged this platform in this ecosystem. But yeah, just seeing what the options are and what the pros and cons of the different platforms might be a good first step.
Right. I mean, earlier we were also looking for an email, you know, the domain specific email. Now that we have secured it, I think that would be a good starting point to think about it. And then maybe in next few meetings, we can flesh it out and decide how we want to go ahead.
Are we asking about the email newsletter at the current moment?
Right.
Okay. I feel like people want, like, I don't know. Sorry. I had like an idea of maybe we like read it out loud or something, because I feel like people might digest it better if you just had like you read it on YouTube or something versus like sending them an email that they probably think is spam. But I don't know.
Not mutually exclusive, actually. That is an interesting idea. Just having, like, you know, the Ethereum cat herders weekly 5 p.m. news, or something like that. Actually,
Yeah, exactly.
as funny as it sounds, I think you're right. I do think you're right.
So generally, when we publish this cat herders update, I tend to share it on Reddit, LinkedIn, Twitter, and everywhere else. So somebody reading it on YouTube or something, yeah, that would be interesting. But again, that would be something good amount of work would be needed for that, and we might look for somebody.
I'm going to have a really hard time not imitating news anchors if I do it. It's just going to be like too hard for me to not do that. It's like such an easy, like low shot.
I think that there are worse things, though, to be fair.
Possible, but I don't know.
Fun.
Don't know if it's good for engagement, but I guess there's only one way to find out.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and also like right now, I'm the only one who is writing these newsletter. I mean, these cat herders update. Earlier, a few more people joined, and they were doing that. And we had this feedback from the foundation that it would be good to engage more people. Like the write-up coming up from different people will give an impression that everyone is like equally participating. So it would be good for the group as a whole. So if anybody is interested, please ping me.
I could probably contribute. I mean, the newsletters in general basically are just a recap of the
Right.
subjects that we discuss in the calls also, just sort of like the proof of work, if you'll forgive a pun, of what we've done over the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, if it's broken down into different subjects, like for instance, like if there was going to be a paragraph on emergency comms or something like that, I could contribute writing to that. That's not a major investment on my part. I think the easiest thing for me would be if I don't know exactly what your method is for writing, but if it's broken into categories first, even before you start writing it, and you can give me like a look at the categories, it should be easy for me to see if there's something there that I can easily pick, because I sort of know what's going on with it, and maybe put in a paragraph or two on it.
Yeah, I mean, that is generally the idea. And like personally, what I do is like I focus on every meetings that we have here, every public meeting, Ethereum 1 meeting, Ethereum 2 meeting, and all sort of meetings where cat herders are engaged. I try to pick up those, put highlights over there, share their notes. That is done by the cat herders itself. And there is one section about community, whatever is going on in other section for one particular section. So that is there. I'm going to share this week's update after this meeting, and that is consistent from past 3-4 updates. So probably that would give you a better idea of what.
I have read the newsletters. This is more of a question of your method. Like, it could be something that would really help you with engagement would be and I don't know if this is the way you do it. I'm just going to pull an example from myself. Usually when I'm doing the notes for, say, core devs. So the first thing I do is I look at the issues, and I already make a framework of exactly what's going to happen in the call. And then I sort of fill in each part of the call from the call. If you do a similar thing for the newsletter, as in you have a basic idea of what the different, major subjects are, and then maybe the minor subjects, before you actually write in like paragraphs for that, you might want to make a Discord channel on the Cat Herders Discord. And before you actually start like writing the actual content, when you just sort of have the skeleton of the article, if you can just post that in the channel and say, does anybody want to cover any of these particular stories, so to speak?
Yeah,
then that might help people be able to engage more easily. You would sort of like be taking like an editor-in-chief position with it, but it could be the editor-in-chief is still going to be better than being the editor-in-chief and the writer and the distributor and everything else too. Like, it could be, you could pull in some engagement that way.
That sounds like a very interesting idea. And the good part is we already have this channel for Medium update in the communication section of the Cat Herders Discord. Probably we would want to start utilizing it better. And the suggestion on doing it on individual part is also good. But when I would like to see more people getting engaged and things going out by their name, that would be even, I mean, that's
Do you
also,
mean separate art? Like, do you
yeah,
mean like a separate document even, or you mean inside
like we
the
do it for
update?
notes, like we do it for notes, right? Every time somebody takes turn, right?
Oh, you're not okay. I had thought that what you meant was that in each update you should have different parts of the update written by different people, which personally, incidentally, in my humble opinion, sounds like a very good idea, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
even that is very interesting idea. I'm open to that as well. If that helps, yes, why not? We want just
mhm.
people to get engaged, and whatever they have good to share with, get it out by in any form. Doesn't matter that we have to follow a traditional path that somebody is doing it. We can always co-author those.
Mhm.
So I think
Did
we
we already, sorry to sort of just to interject here, but did we already do the EIP 1559? Sorry, I was late.
yes, I provided an update, but now that you have joined, if you would have something to add, I don't know, because you did not hear about it here when we were discussing about it. So I just provided the update, the highlights on what was discussed in the previous meeting and how we are doing on the outreach front. And we decided that cat herders will continue to reach projects. So yeah, please feel free to add.
Okay. Yeah. Generally speaking, it was. Hold on. So I need to go back and look at like my notes as well because I'm kind of rusty.
You mind me?
So they basically were talking about has been changed and they're talking about like so can we just come back to this at the end? I'm gonna review the notes. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, I was just trying to mention here, let's finish up this about the newsletter thing, and then we'll come back to the 1559, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Coming back to the newsletter, I think the idea is really interesting, William, and we should try to work on that. We have this communication channel. I believe all the members should have access to it, and member and contributors should have access to that. And yes, we can start posting it and maybe plan out for the next meeting onwards. For today, I'm going to share the update right after this meeting.
Cool.
So yeah, we have reached to the almost the last item of the agenda. It's about the reviewing of issues and PRs. Do we have any open issues there? I see a few funding issues. Yeah, there are two, and if you guys don't mind waiting for a few more days, and we can bundle it together, because I know a couple of more coming up from your end. Like for Alita would be doing it for today's meeting, and William, you would be doing it for the core dev meeting, so that we can put two of those together and pay out, if that works.
Sure thing.
Sure.
And on the issue side, yeah, there was one thing. Oh, it looks like it has already been closed. Okay, so I do not have any further update. There is one item, there is one issue, 104, update Folkman and publish code properly. So if I understand correct, Martin has started this folkman.et devops.io, and that is up and running again. So it would be a good time, but I left it open for others to review it. And if this is fine, we can go ahead and close this issue. At least one will be down today. And for some of them, I see with Hudson it is. We'll wait for him to respond on that. So yeah, Alita, now we are done with the items listed. So if you can, or if you'd like to go ahead and.
Sure. So, again, sorry. I actually just spoke up like 15 minutes ago, so I hope you'll have some patience with me. I'm very much so rough at the current moment. Essentially, most of the major like Geth, Nethermind, Geth and Nethermind are about implemented with the 1559. And then, as I recall, and those were the only two that were actually discussed. And then there was also more discussion about it needing like different parts that needed to be implemented. And then they're gonna wait probably a couple months to implement those things. And then a big part of the call had to do with the mainnet readiness checklist, which is basically just like a list of everything that made or did not make certain parts of the mainnet or different test networks ready for the 1559 inclusion. A couple major points that were discussed were 1559's dependence on other EIPs, and therefore the way to properly schedule and implement those EIPs so that you could most effectively and most efficiently implement 1559.
Alita, are you going over the 1559 call?
Yeah.
Recorded? I think the agenda item was just our outreach.
No, there's also the other one. There's two on there. But maybe I'm wrong. Very easy.
No, that's all right. Like we are trying to generally cover on, every meetings that is documented by the cat herders and what are the highlights of those meetings. Although we have a detailed notes of that, but I think the cat herders meeting can also summarize that. That would be helpful.
Okay. I think if we want to just touch on highlights, one of the biggest highlight would be that progress is still very much underway. So the implementers aren't really ready to implement. And there's a bunch of like different dependencies from different EIPs that aren't ready to be implemented in the Berlin. And then there's a couple of changes that need to be made, a couple different, I forget exactly what it was, but there was some, like, I think it was testnet or some sort of interaction with the EVM that needed to be implemented. And so those are going to be done in separate EIPs. Generally speaking, there were only 4 people on the call, and they all seem to be highly engaged. That's about it. It would be cool to have I think it would be good to have a very rough framework for like a review of a call, Pooja, because I think that would help sort of structure a cleaner answer.
Right. Thank you for the updates, Alita. So there was one more item that was listed today, and we did not hear much on that. It's in that now that you have joined about the EIP meeting update. We were discussing about the onboarding of editors and how important it would be. if there's anything that you would like to mention based on your survey and the document that you are working on, or how you would like to, spearhead this initiative. Sorry to put you on spot, but if there's nothing, it's fine, because that is an item for EIP meeting. But just from cat herders point of view, we were thinking if we could support you in any way.
I think I shared the survey results last time. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. Let me pull it up real quick. See if I could find it.
Yeah, that would be great.
But one thing I wanted to bring up is since we're updating the statuses, I wanted to write a Medium article on the cat herders explaining the new statuses. Me too.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly what the thing that I was trying to mention here. We need to reach out to community in more different ways. Like, we have to be talking about whatever changes are coming in picture, or whatever we are doing here as cat herders. So if you have anything in mind and you want to share it as a form of blog, please let's coordinate and talk on this channel, Discord channel, and publish it.
Yeah. So from the survey, we actually didn't get many responses. We got 3, which is good considering there's only
6 or 7, yeah.
6 or 7 editors. Tasks that are expected, many tasks, that making sure that EIPs are well formatted and technically complete. Looking at grammar and structure, if it's related to Ethereum, and handling things that the bot doesn't handle. Requirement is reviewing current EIPs that show up. Someone that understands the difference between a standard and an idea. Someone that knows what should be left out of a standard, a good communicator, someone who understands Ethereum at an intermediate level, and someone who can handle conflict and understand GitHub.
How would you define intermediate in this context? As an intermediate understanding of Ethereum?
Yeah, that's a good question. I imagine it's someone that at least has read and understands the yellow paper.
Whoa, I mean, actually understanding the whole yellow paper, I think would be quite advanced, no?
Probably.
I
I
mean,
mean, I
you have to
imagine like
have-
if you're gonna improve like a core EIP, you have to have some understanding of like how it all kind of fits together.
So, I mean, at this point, we would be looking for editors who have the full ability, even all the way to merge in. There's not going to be like an intermediate category of like, looking things over, getting them ready, and pushing them along to someone who has the ability to actually push them forward.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
One editor saying they should have an intermediate level, but I'm not exactly sure what that means.
So I think the intermediate level could be answered from, the triaging permission that we are talking about. That might be helpful there for the time being. And yes, this particular survey and the documentation that we're talking about was more focused on having a full-fledged EIP editor that would be able to look into every aspect of all the jobs of an editor and should be able to perform that. So yeah, thank you for.
Yeah, either way though, Edson, is the best thing just to reach out to you personally? Like, what's the best way to move forward with people who are interested for that?
I think the simplest way is to look at who's already reviewing EIPs, if there's anyone, and start by reaching out to them.
Oh, okay, fine.
Other than that, they actually, the only person that was recommended was Light Client, which he's currently, I think he's given write access.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure that item is closed, but yes, we are discussing about that. And to me also, he seems to be a good candidate for this.
Yeah, I know right now we're just discussing him for triaging, but I think he'd be fine as a full editor.
Right, and it would be great to hear more about the process part, like, I don't know if you get a chance to get responses on this part, like what would be the formal process. Earlier it was like 3-4 editors decided and they want to put on something, they just add it. It's a good way, I mean, if people would want to continue that, but if there is also something defined and documented, would be helpful for other people to refer in future.
Yeah.
Great, thank you for that update. We look forward to the next EIP meeting, and hopefully we'll get some solution to this thing, this item, how we are moving for the selection or maybe onboarding of EIP editors. So I think we have covered everything, what was listed for today's meeting. If there is anything anybody would like to bring up.
I have a quick question for the next PEEP and EAP meeting on November 3rd. So where is the YouTube link for that, or how do I get into that meeting, I guess is my question.
The Zoom link you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is this Telegram group where people are interacting for PEEP and EAP. If you're willing to join the next meeting or all the meetings going forward, I'll be happy to add you in that Telegram group. And generally I share that Zoom link there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, I would like to get on that, I guess is what I want.
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you.
No problem. Sounds good. Looks like we are on time, and yeah. Okay, just one last thing. Is this time and schedule works for everybody for this cat herders meeting, or if there's something that people would like to change, or would be more comfortable for people to join frequently, we can discuss about it maybe in the Discord channel. Oh yeah.
Works for me, but I'm here.
So
Yeah,
for
good point.
me, because I kind of have a pretty messy schedule, but so maybe not take my advice too much, but I'm thinking we push it back an hour, so then it's like the same sort of schedule with the other meetings. So because EIPIP, for example, it's all at like 10 a.m. or it's all at 1400 UTC. And I think that might help people like me remember when the time will be, just kind of like implicitly know when it'll be, because that's like also when I was late today, which I apologize.
That would be better for me. I like that idea.
No worries. So here's the thing, like at present, this is at 1400 UTC, Ethereum 1.0 meeting, all core dev meeting, Ethereum 2.0 meeting, and most of the meeting it is at 1400 UTC. But the good point is from next month, November onward, there would be a change of time for people in US. So it's going to be an hour earlier. I don't know what time zone you are from, but it's going to be an hour earlier. If people are considering that we should be having it an hour later, 1500 UTC, that would again bring you to the same time, like 10 a.m. EST. So that is something that we can consider. We want to have it on 1500 UTC, or we would want to have it 1 hour later, 1600, or maybe flexible timing.
Yeah, I think it would be very good to not have it earlier. And then because the one thing is, which I'm very bad, I thought that all core devs was at 1500 currently.
No, it's 1400. The only meeting that is at 1500 is EIP.
That's so weird. Okay.
Never mind. I think we can continue this discussion in the internal channel itself. So yeah, that's all for today. See you guys in 2 weeks, October 27th. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Alita, you are going to do the notes for this one, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome.